His eyes followed me, sharp, missing nothing, MJ noted, passing the guard again. Just doing his job? No, that wasn't routine scanning. That was threat assessment. Why was he watching me so closely? The cavernous convention center in San Jose buzzed with the frenetic energy of the Global Tech Summit. Michael Jordan moved through the crowded exhibition hall, a featured speaker invited to discuss leadership and brand building in the digital age. He navigated the usual requests for selfies, the introductions to eager startup founders, the general low hum of recognition that followed him everywhere. He was used to being watched. But this felt different. Positioned near the main exit leading towards the VIP parking area, a security guard stood sentinel. What made him stand out wasn't just his uniform, but the fact that he performed his duties from a state-of-the-art wheelchair. He looked to be in his late 50s, powerfully built in the upper body despite his disability, his face set in a stern, professional mask. His eyes, hidden behind dark, reflective sunglasses, constantly swept the area. The flow of people, the access points, the surrounding booths, standard security procedure. Yet whenever Jordan himself passed through the guard's zone of observation, heading to a panel, returning from a break, moving towards the exit, the guard's attention seemed to lock onto him with a heightened, almost unnerving intensity. It wasn't the wide-eyed stare of a starstruck fan. It wasn't the overt scrutiny of someone assessing a potential threat from Jordan. It felt different, analytical, focused, almost protective, yet distant. Jordan initially dismissed it. Maybe the guard was just a huge basketball fan, trying to remain professional while internally geeking out. Maybe his disability required him to be more visually focused, less able to physically intervene, thus the intense observation. Plausible explanations. But the feeling persisted each time Jordan passed. The guard's head would turn slightly, the dark lenses tracking Jordan's movement until he was out of sight, his posture subtly tensing, his gaze seeming to scan the crowd immediately around Jordan with extra diligence. It felt less like watching Jordan himself, and more like watching for something near Jordan. "Sharp eyes on that guard near the exit," Jordan commented quietly to Andre, his security head, during a brief moment backstage. "Wheelchair guy. Notice. Anything?" Andre nodded slowly. "Yeah, boss. Clocked him too. Moves like he's got training. Real training. Not just standard event security. Ex-military maybe? Or law enforcement? Tried a casual chat earlier, asking about access routes. He was polite, professional, but gave away nothing. Walls up. Ex-military? Law enforcement? That aligned with Jordan's own assessment of the guard's professional demeanor and intense, observational skills. But it didn't explain the specific lingering focus on Jordan himself. Jordan found himself consciously altering his path through the convention center, deliberately passing the guard's post again, trying to gauge the reaction. This time, as Jordan approached, the guard was subtly adjusting something near his collar, perhaps an earpiece, or maybe just an itch. But as Jordan drew nearer, the guard's hand froze mid-movement, his head snapping up fractionally, his gaze flicking past Jordan towards someone else in the crowd behind him. Jordan instinctively glanced back over his shoulder. He saw nothing out of the ordinary, just a dense flow of conference attendees, people looking at phones, chatting, moving towards the exit. Yet the guard's reaction had been instantaneous, specific. He had perceived something, someone in that anonymous crowd that triggered his professional instincts. And it was triggered as Jordan passed. Then, just as quickly, the guard relaxed, his posture returning to professional neutrality, his gaze resuming its steady sweep of the area, offering Jordan a curt, standard nod as he walked by. This was the midpoint. The guard's specific, momentary reaction to something behind Jordan, occurring precisely as Jordan passed. It confirmed Jordan's suspicion that the guard's intense focus wasn't just general vigilance or fan recognition. He was actively scanning for threats specifically related to Jordan's presence. He wasn't just security for the event. He seemed to be operating on a different, more personal level of threat assessment concerning Jordan himself. Why? Who was this man? And what potential threat had he just perceived in the crowd? Jordan felt a familiar prickle of unease, the low-level hum of potential danger that had been a constant companion throughout his high-profile life. He signaled Andre discreetly. "That guard," Jordan murmured into his wrist communicator. "Pull his file, now. Event security roster. Find out who he is, background, everything." Andre acknowledged instantly, already tapping into his secure channels. While waiting, Jordan observed the guard again from a distance. He saw the subtle efficiency of his movements within the confines of the wheelchair, the way he anticipated crowd flow, the almost invisible shifts in his gaze that covered every angle. This was no ordinary security guard filling a diversity quota. This was a highly trained professional, somehow deployed to this specific post, seemingly with a focus on Jordan. Andre's voice came back through Jordan's earpiece a few minutes later, tight with surprise. "Boss, you're not gonna believe this. Guard's name is Agent Marcus Jones. Agent is retired, technically. But his background? U.S. Secret Service. Presidential Protection Detail for 8 years. Then shifted to dignitary protection, handled high-risk assignments overseas. Impeccable record." Andre paused. "Medically retired 3 years ago. Ambush incident during an embassy evacuation in South America. Took rounds protecting his principal. Saved the ambassador's life, but cost him the use of his legs. Secret Service. Presidential protection. Saved an ambassador's life." The hidden truth landed with stunning force. The disabled security guard wasn't just former military or law enforcement. He was elite federal law enforcement, a former secret service agent with extensive experience protecting the highest value targets on the planet. His vigilance wasn't just training, it was deeply ingrained instinct honed at the absolute pinnacle of the protection profession. But the revelation raised even more urgent questions. Why was a highly decorated, medically retired Secret Service agent working event security at a tech conference? And more importantly, why the intense focus on Michael Jordan? Had their paths crossed before? Had Agent Jones ever been assigned, even temporarily or peripherally, to a detail involving Jordan during his playing career or international travels when security concerns were highest? Jordan pushed Andre to cross-reference Jones's known service dates and assignments as much as was accessible, with Jordan's own travel history and past security briefings involving federal agencies. The connection, when Andre found it, was indirect but undeniable. Jones hadn't been directly assigned to Jordan's personal detail. However, during the period Jones served on the Presidential Protection Detail, there were several specific, credible threats investigated by the Secret Service involving potential risks to high-profile American icons, including Jordan, perceived as symbols of American influence. Jones would have been privy to those threat assessments, would have studied Jordan's profile, his routines, his known vulnerabilities, as part of his professional responsibility to understand the broader threat landscape surrounding protectees. Agent Marcus Jones knew Jordan, not personally, but professionally, as a potential high-value target. Jordan realized with dawning clarity. Jones's intense observation wasn't hostility or starstruck fandom. It was residual professional habit. He saw Jordan, recognized him not just as a celebrity, but as a figure he had once professionally assessed as being at risk, and his protective instincts, still sharp despite retirement and disability, had kicked in automatically. He was scanning the crowd around Jordan, subconsciously running threat assessments, looking for anomalies, the same way he would have done protecting the president. The flicker of reaction Jordan witnessed earlier? Jones had likely spotted something. Someone who looked out of place, someone paying undue attention, someone exhibiting pre-attack indicators, near Jordan, triggering his deeply ingrained training. Jordan felt a profound sense of respect, mingled with a touch of awe. Even retired, even confined to a wheelchair, Agent Jones was still operating on instinct, still metaphorically on duty. He decided he needed to speak to Jones, not to question him, but to acknowledge him, agent to former protectee, however indirectly. As the conference began to wind down, Jordan approached Jones's post near the exit again. This time, he didn't offer small talk. "Agent Jones?" Jordan said quietly, using the title deliberately. Jones looked up, his professional mask faltering. For a split second replaced by surprise, then quickly regaining composure. "Mr. Jordan," he replied evenly, his voice calm but alert. "How did you—" "My security lead has a long memory," Jordan explained simply. "Secret Service, presidential detail, dignitary protection." "That's quite a resume, Agent." Jones simply nodded, accepting the revealed knowledge without comment. "Saw you clocking the crowd earlier," Jordan continued, lowering his voice slightly. "When I passed by, you saw something back there, didn't you?" Jones hesitated, his gaze flicking briefly towards the area Jordan indicated. "Instinct mostly," he admitted reluctantly. "Guy in the blue shirt, loitering near the pillar. Didn't fit the conference profile. Body language was off, too focused. Moved off when I lingered on him." He shrugged slightly. "Probably nothing. Just old habits." Probably nothing. But Jones had seen it, flagged it, and potentially deterred it with his focused attention. Even retired, even disabled, his training had made a difference. "Old habits save lives, Agent," Jordan said sincerely. "Thank you. For your service, then, and apparently," he offered a small smile. "Still now." Jones met Jordan's gaze, and for the first time, the professional mask cracked completely, revealing a flicker of pride, of acknowledgement. "Protecting the principal, sir," he replied quietly, the old Secret Service mantra spoken with ingrained conviction. "Always." The hidden truth wasn't a conspiracy or a threat, but a quiet story of enduring duty. The disabled security guard wasn't just doing his job, he was living his code, his elite training still active, subconsciously standing guard over a figure he recognized from past threat assessments, his watchful eyes providing an unseen layer of protection rooted in a lifetime of service. How many individuals with extraordinary pasts and specialized skills move among us, their histories hidden, their instincts still sharp, quietly contributing in ways we never perceive. What does duty truly mean, and how can it continue to shape a person's actions and perceptions long after their official service has ended? Share your thoughts on hidden skills and enduring dedication in the comments, and subscribe for more stories revealing the surprising truths behind everyday encounters.